Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the LSU Sports podcast from the Red Zone Report. I'm your host, Scott Gerard, joined as always by my co-hosts Tommy Johnson and Daniel Zollinger. Today we're going to be going over some recent recruiting news. There's also been some renovations at the LSU campus regarding the football operations in the Nutritional Center, if you haven't heard. And then maybe we might get into some other stuff if we have time. But before we get going, I'm going to ask you folks to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Follow us at RZR LSU Pod and check out the website at laredzzonereport.com. But gentlemen, how are you each doing this week?
Doing great from the mobile Red Zone Report studio in Monroe, Louisiana.
Yeah, very good. Tommy and I actually podcasting here together, so got to get that live camaraderie in here. Hopefully some fresh takes for y'all this week.
Yeah, I tell you, guys are covering most of the state of Louisiana. You had the hurricane issue that you brought to us. Now you're covering northern Louisiana for us. God bless you both.
Yep, doing all right. Got some, not a ton of news, but a couple of big ones this week, so I think it'll be good.
Yeah, the biggest, which let's just get into it. Local son, Jacqueline Roy, has committed or recommitted to the Tigers, I should say. He did so Friday afternoon in a little ceremony at his high school, and it was down to LSU, Alabama, and Texas A&M. And I don't know, you weren't really sure which way you might have gone, although there's a lot of LSU and Bama stuff in the background and just kind of one Texas A&M thing in the middle. But he had all three hats out in a big football piñata, and I saw that and I thought, oh, I hope it's inside that piñata, and he just busts it open. And, in fact, he did, and he pulled out an LSU hat, exciting, the staff, the fans, everything, because, as you know, he decommitted back in February. So this was a huge get to get him again. So you guys agree it's a big get, and do you think it sticks this time?
It's obviously a great get. We need that in the trenches. He's a big boy. He's going to be great as a defensive tackle. But I think as far as sticking or not, you never know. They all these players decommit, recommit, go visit somewhere else, get enamored with another program. So I'm tentatively excited, but once you commit twice, I mean, how many more times can you do it? So.
Yeah, we had him since 2018 until about 5 months ago when he dipped out, just reopened his recruiting, like you said, and ended up on LSU, Bama, and A&M. But it's good to lock him back down. He's listed currently as a 4-star, the number 3 defensive tackle in the country. And a lot of people are saying he might be up to a 5-star by the end of his senior season, which he fills out this defensive class that we got right now. They're up to 9 defensive linemen, which is the most signings they would have at the line since 2000. So got a beefy crew up there, and then that's what you need to succeed in the SEC at least. And then one funny thing, if you watch his commitment video, after he announces that they're chanting LSU at the end, his mom stands up and grabs the Alabama and A&M hats off the table and shucks them out like off screen. so you can tell that she was pretty excited that he decided to stay home. So that was a nice moment.
Kind of reminiscent of Landon Collins' commit when his mom got mad, visibly angry. Oh,
that was wild. Yeah, when he went to Alabama, and then she was trying to get him to stay home at LSU, and she was just pouting over in the corner.
Guy, he leans over to her and is like, what's wrong, Miss Collins? And she's like, I just think he should be at LSU.
Yeah. And she received so much blowback from that. And I'm like, why? It's her son. She's obviously a fan. Are parents not allowed to be fans too? I mean, it was in the moment. I understand it's all about, her son's decision. But come on, parents are emotionally invested in this stuff too. So I think it was just too much reaction to her. I thought it was funny. The moms, it's funny, a rivalry within the family. Her son's going to Alabama. She's still going to pull for LSU. I just think that's a great storyline,
Yeah, and then so Jacqueline Roy is good, and I think the last target we have here is Jacobian Guillory out of Alexandria, who is, I think, number 9-ish defensive tackle in the country, another 4-star. So we can get him in the next few months here. That solidifies just a really strong group there. So I'm excited for that coming up in 2020.
And I just don't think you can't have too many big, talented defensive line. With a wide receiver, you could say, oh, we've got so many wide receivers, how many people are actually going to catch the ball? But bring them on. I mean, keep them coming. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and if last season, was any indication, apparently you can never have too many because, down at the bowl game, they had a converted wide receiver play defensive back for them against UCF because either injury or ejection or something. And the way the Tigers' offensive and defensive line have been hit by injury and attrition, you're right. You can't have too many. If they got Jacoby and Guillory, that would bring them up to 10, which would be amazing. But I think it would bring the class up to 23. So I think they might, 10 might be all they need. I don't know if they need 11 or 12 because they still have only 2 or 3 more spots to fill in the class. But, class rankings aside, that's a great haul for O because he did need to beef up the defensive line a lot.
For sure.
Josh Lemoyne has said since December of last year that the defensive line is really the problem spot that needs to be addressed in recruiting. And so Coach O's done a great job with that. I think the second thing they need to address is talented offensive linemen that can play a more spread approach and are not just ground and pound in the trenches. But I like all the huge size we're adding to the defensive front.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, big beefy boys, they got to eat. And speaking of which, LSU got a new place where they might have a chance to do a little bit of that. So I think that's another big topic we got this week.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you thought maybe this new football ops center with the nutritional center attached might have played into his decision. I don't think so, but it was interesting timing. But it's this $28 million facility. It's going to house both the new football ops building and the nutritional center. And, they had talked about putting it in different places on Skip Bertman Drive, even in the bottom of Tiger Stadium, I think. But they're just going to connect it to the football ops building. $28 million. It looks nice. I mean, you guys have seen the photos or the videos, right? It looks like a first-class locker room.
I mean, that thing's like one of the nicest locker rooms I've ever seen. I know Oregon, they've got one that they show a lot on TV, and it's supposed to be the top of the line. But I think LSU just took the spot. They took over the throne for best kind of whole package for players, and I tend to think that'll benefit us in recruiting and retaining players. If you can get that almost pro level facilities, it might make up players on the fence want to stay a little bit longer. I love it. I love the move by the athletic department, and I love that Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson, and a bunch of other former LSU players are real supportive in being there or just voicing their support for the facility because there was a lot of blowback from people saying it was a waste of LSU funds. Why aren't they building a new library? Why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? But I'm excited for it. It looks great, and I know the players. They're definitely excited for it.
Yeah, it looks almost like something a little bit out of a spaceship, really. They have all these they're really called pods lined up for each player, so where it's kind of a bench-style seat with its own nook that has an iPad attached to the side where you can view video where they were supposed to be studying film. We'll see. Hopefully it's used for that. But then they go full recline to where they can sleep in there. Everybody's got their own little spot. They're all just – I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter. You can follow at LSU football. But, yeah, just $28 million, private funding. That's the type of support you need from your boosters. That's another important thing. And one to note is that University of Florida, they just – unveiled a new locker room for their football team a few weeks ago, and people were hyped about that. But then when LSU came out, it just kind of swept it under the rug. Florida only put about $2 million into this, and you can tell the extra $26 million was worth it for LSU here.
So $26 million paint or something?
Yeah, they tried to troll LSU actually, thinking they did it first, but just the two pictures side by side, Florida looks like they spent all that $2 million on the light on the ceiling, because the rest of it still looks like old school.
Like a locker room?
Yeah, exactly. LSU's looks like, the top of a 747 with the sleep pods.
I was going to say, it looks like a first-class jet.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like Tommy had mentioned about the Tyrann Mathieu, he made his own private donation to have the Mathieu Player Lounge. There's a little spot where they can gather. They can eat or whatever. They got, I think, game systems, TVs to watch film. They got some big old portrait of Tyrann Mathieu on the wall, and he was there over the weekend just posing. And then, so it's good to see that, especially your former really big talents, and even Tyrann Mathieu, who had a bit of a troubled time at LSU, but just to see that he's still backing the Tigers and supporting there. And then so you got all these new players coming in who are just trying to aspire to be like that, like a Heisman finalist. And they say, you look at this guy on the wall, like, wow, I can really live up to that, or that's what I want to be. So it's just a big, concerted effort together, which I think is a great move for the program.
And Tyrann Mathieu, we kind of talked about it in our number 7 podcast, but Tyrann Mathieu's really become that leader in the NFL. He's a stand-up guy. He's really overcome the obstacles he had in college, and to see him come back and give back to LSU and kind of mend fences even more. It's really I'm glad he's an active part of the program now.
I agree, and the fact that he's doing this on his own, and like you said, he had troubles, but it's not like he just left school early. He was kicked off the team, and he still has enough, love for this team and this school and these players that he's going to give money back, even though he was pretty much kicked to the curb by his former coach. And so, that just goes to show, his value as a player and as a person. But wouldn't you know it, there's always going to be someone that's hating. And it just so happened to be one of his former teammates, Eric Reed. There's some blowback from the students and some teachers on campus, which I was actually going to get you guys' feel on. But Eric Reed came out publicly and was, just questioning this and the money about it, and they really kind of got into it on Twitter. Well, it was just silly.
The people who are complaining about this, I know Bob Mann is a pretty high-profile professor at LSU. I've met him before. He said something similar. He said something to the effect of, meanwhile, across campus, I vacuumed my own office with a vacuum cleaner I bought from Walmart. And the thing they don't get is this is fully private funded, like Daniel said. It's all raised through the Tiger Athletic Foundation, which has nothing to do with LSU. It's on the campus, but it's nothing to do with the state-run state university LSU. It's a fully independent private foundation, and so it's not their money to decide on. And if they raise the money and want to increase the football program's locker room or whatever, that's their prerogative. So for Eric Reed to say, oh, they need to spend it on this, or for Bob Mann to say, why can't I have a better facility for my teaching, it's not your place.
Yeah, so to go back to the big talking point, which we kind of understated a little bit, is that a lot of people were saying just that this $28 million would have been better spent in different places for LSU, such as rebuilding the library, which is a little bit in disrepair, or just providing better educational facilities across campus, when instead they devoted it to a locker room for the football team, which, people love it, but maybe not everybody at LSU loves. And then, like Tommy said, this just kind of missing the point, which is that these donors appropriated specifically for the locker room to the TAF. So that's the $28 million that they said, use it for this. It reminds me of the situation when they got the lazy river at the UREC, the LSU Recreation Center, a couple of years ago, when the money was donated specifically for that purpose. And so people were kind of up in arms about that, saying, oh, we need this for that and this. But it wasn't the university itself just raising the money. And if they had done that, then they can put it to whatever they see fit. But this is something completely separate. And
it's even more separate, because the lazy river was appropriated by LSU. And the money was raised by LSU. With this locker room, it was raised by the TAF, Tiger Athletic Foundation, which is solely an independent organization, and their entire goal is to raise money for scholarships and enhancements to the athletic program. So the TAF's not going to make a donation to LSU for, academics or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's not their thing.
Yeah, and I agree. There's definitely some things that do need work around LSU's campus, which for sure they could use the money for. I'm not putting that point down, but it's just a little bit missing the mark there. So if every aspect of campus life could be improved, I'm all for it. But they just have to kind of get the donors.
They're trying to raise $1 billion. Oh
yeah, exactly.
Specifically for like academics, student life, that kind of stuff. So $26 million for a locker room is a drop in the bucket when you're talking about $1 billion. And then I don't know, Scott, did you see what Joe Burrows said to that professor?
Oh no, I didn't. What did he say?
So he quotes the tweet and he goes, "Why, professor, do you feel entitled to to our success," or something like that? It was hilarious. Now, he did have to take the tweet down. So,
okay. And there's another aspect of the argument, which is that the LSU football program brings in more money, far more money than anything else on campus, and then that money gets redirected to every just part of LSU, and then they're raking in the millions, multi-millions from their TV deals, everything else in the year. When, there's great accomplishments going on around in the different departments and whatnot, but that's not necessarily bringing the same monetary value as this football program. So they deserve at least some influx of cash to bolster that.
Well, LSU's one of, I think it's 11 football programs that are fully self-sustainable.
Or actually make a profit.
And they actually, and to go even further, LSU football actually subsidizes the entire athletic program. So let's let them have a locker room.
Yeah, well, I think it's LSU baseball, football, and basketball. Those three, not so much basketball, but baseball definitely support the rest of the program. And I think, a lot of these people's issues, it's just the sheer optics of it, because they are broke college students or they are professors that, he might be the best in his field, but he's only ever going to make so much. Meanwhile, this football coach that, he probably couldn't even stand 10 minutes with is making millions of dollars, and his program just got this. But that's the difference between a state-run school and private investors.
Yeah,
private investors can move a lot quicker and get stuff done, and they are separate, and people need to know that, and they also need to know that this athletic fund actually gives money back to the school for academic purposes, and that is never mentioned. Yeah, exactly.
They fund all the athletic scholarships that LSU puts out.
Yeah, I just pulled up the numbers, and LSU's tied for 7th in college football's most valuable teams with $112 million annual revenue and a profit of $56 million a year. So that's $56 million going back to the students just from running this football team. So, you renovate your locker room, that'll bolster and boost that money for the next, 20 years until they renovate it again, and there you go.
So all I can say is, don't bite the hand that feeds, Bob, man.
Yeah, you tell him. And also, I don't know, there could be another topic of discussion on this we're not paying the players, but they have this. And then, some guys were chiming in across the sports world saying, all right, well, you can give them this locker room, but you can't pay them, right? And my thought was, that's pretty much it, because we're giving them a scholarship, and now we're just going to renovate their facilities, because that's what's going to lure better players to come and keep the program in a successful period. So yes, that's what we're going to give them instead of paying them, because paying is not an option. So yes, that's what we're going to do. Wow, it's amazing. But I don't know if you guys saw this, but it's the nutritional center was attached to part of the football ops, which is actually going to be for all LSU athletes, not just the football players. And they actually brought in a guy. He was originally from Baton Rouge, but then he got hired by the Seattle Seahawks, and he moved there. His family didn't work out. His family moved back because they like Baton Rouge, and I guess this opportunity came up at the right time. And so now the whole nutrition center is working with a professional chef who we got from the Seahawks. but I guess he was originally from the area. So I thought that was a nice little tidbit. And I don't know if you guys saw this and kind of missed in all the news about the football ops and the nutritional center. LSU actually got a walkthrough facility, which Dave Aranda had pushed for because he had seen it at a lot of the professional camps or operations centers. So it's an actual football field. I think the turf is purple, but it's the actual width of a football field. It's just only about like 10 or 15 yards deep, but they have a big wall with 4 projectors to show an offense, just so that they can kind of read formations and pick up options and different things like that. Did you guys see that?
I actually didn't see that. That's a cool idea. I've never seen that before. But, I'm glad they did that.
Yeah, check it out because it's. I think this is where Dave Aranda's genius can come in, and he's like, hey, it's working for the pros. He's been visiting a lot of pro camps this offseason, and so that's where he got this idea before. And I think it's great. I don't know if it was just for him, but I mean, obviously it's just for the football team. But yeah, it's the width of a football field, about 15 yards deep, and it's just to recognize formations, which I think is great.
And you definitely use that for offense too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's definitely it seems like a defensive-minded, addition, but I could see applications for offense, defense. So
totally, definitely. And another aspect, you could say, why did they need this? Yes, it's not just for recruiting purposes though. There's one of the guys involved with the nutritional center. His name's escaping me now, but he was saying that the pods and the nutritional center and having that all in the same place is really going to help the players because it's going to give them more time to rest. It's going to give them more time for recovery, access to the medical facilities there also, but also more time, to be accessible with coaches because everything's going to be right there. They don't have to go back and forth. And the pods in the sleeping locker, they said that was kind of spawned from when they went to Wisconsin a few years ago. Just something about, the traveling back and forth and the players just not really having a place to lay down and take a nap if they needed one. Which, if you're on the go and you got a hectic schedule and you got to move around as a team, it's probably hard to catch a nap sometimes. So I think that's great. If that helps them stay rested, then let's everywhere.
And what's interesting, so where the nutrition center used to be, I believe, is at the Cox Auditorium on campus. And like a lot of students, I've had classes had classes there during time at LSU. And so you'll see players walking in and out. They'll grab food. You'll see them carrying like a muscle milk or whatever, kind of the little snacks. And I always wondered, wow, that's kind of far away from where everything else is. So you're right. It is good that it's all in one place. They can go to the locker room and then head right down, get the food, get dinner, whatever, and then go back up. So it's not as all spread out. And I believe where if you would have had to cross Nicholson to get from the old place to the football facility, and that's a big road. You don't really want to cross all the time. So it's familiar with Baton Rouge any. So if you know Nicholson, you don't want to cross Nicholson every couple hours. So I'm glad it's all in one place.
Right. And then one final comment on the new locker room stuff is that it's already kind of proving pretty good for recruiting. Zach Evans, number 1 running back in the country, who we've talked about multiple times. After LSU posted it, he tweeted out, quote tweeting that with 3 heart eye emojis. So he's obviously in love already. Hopefully that'll bring him home. He actually also announced that he will be officially visiting LSU for the LSU Auburn game. So we really need them to turn in a good performance there and hopefully get him solidified. And although he did show up at a Texas A&M pool party.
Unannounced.
Unannounced that they were having. So people are saying he's kind of waffling between LSU and Texas A&M at this point.
And then he went to Georgia, right? this weekend.
Oh, yeah, and he also had an official visit to Georgia, so there's still a lot of teams in the mix for him, but hopefully that the locker room and maybe another win versus Auburn at home, just in the Death Valley experience, will sway him this way.
Well, Daniel, and I don't know, Scott, I know you played. Scott, have you ever played the old NCAA video game?
Oh, yes.
So this reminds me of a pivotal moment you'll have in your dynasty pretty much every season, where your top recruit will schedule his official visit, and it'll add a huge boost to your if you win the game. You have to win the game because your recruit's watching. So I think that you just got that plus 500 opportunity for Auburn week in regards to Zach Evans.
I know, and if I see him that weekend of the Auburn game, I'll ask him to come on the podcast. Hopefully he'll do that.
Yeah.
Hey, you say that, but you really could. You just get in his ear. Hey, I'm Daniel Zollinger with Talking Tigers, the LSU Sports podcast, the Red Zone Report. What do you think about blah 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 blah? They like it.
Get a little hold up the microphone to him like they do walking around Capitol Hill.
Yeah, we'll get you a little microphone flag you can put on the microphone to look official.
And then so Zach Evans come to LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you can.
Then you could be a regular guest on the podcast.
Yeah, you could tell him that. Yeah. So I don't know. Has there been any other? I guess he saw the facility. He liked it, but was he the only big guy we had on campus this weekend?
Well, he didn't come to campus.
He was just talking about it on social media.
I thought he was
made
supposed to be at campus
to Georgia. Not that I know of.
He's coming though.
Oh, okay. I thought he was there this weekend. Zach Evans? Yeah, I thought he was supposed to be there this weekend. Oh, well. It'd be interesting to see how many players they could probably attribute to this locker room, because it does kind of put them at the forefront, at least at that level. But like you said a few weeks ago, nothing's a better recruiter than just seeing all those rings on the table, which O does not have yet. But, hey, we'll find out in the next year or two if that's going to be a possibility.
It's definitely a possibility. I think that we'll find out if it comes to fruition.
Exactly. But, I mean, as always, LSU seems to have the talent there. There's a few Tigers actually got named to some more watch lists this week. LSU punter Zach Von Rosenberg named to the Ray Guy Award for the best punter. Clyde Edwards-Helaire named to Paul Hornung watch list for the nation's most versatile player. Long snapper Blake Ferguson named to the Warfel Trophy watch list for the top community servant. And there was one guy, I forget his name, he was also named to the Walter Camp Player of the Year watch list. Oh, that's right, Grant Delpit. He was nominated to that as a candidate.
Yeah, it just shows we got assets at every position, so hopefully we can take those awards home.
I know. I think, I don't know, I'm really excited to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's going to be Darren Sproles, and I think he'll win that award. I just want to see them. I want to see some more highlights.
I'm ready to see John Emery. That's. I think he's going to be a breakout star.
You think he'll break out this year?
Yeah, I do. I think he'll get meaningful touches, and we'll get to see that speed, that versatility, and that lateral quickness.
Yeah. Well, I remember Leonard Fournette's first year. It wasn't quite breakout. Not necessarily because he was buried on the depth chart. It was just, how he was running in high school wasn't a direct translation to college. He just wanted to run through people. So they, it took him his second year before he finally got into full momentum. But John Emery seemed like more of a cutter to me than just trying to run through people.
He's a slasher type back. Yeah. And I think that translates, right on kind of plug and play into the college ranks.
Yeah. I think he's definitely a breakout candidate freshman season. I think Edwards-Helaire this will be finally his year to break out. I don't think he's going to be the bell cow running back, but, just that Darren Sproles type versatile player. Daniel, you got any ideas on a breakout player?
A breakout player off the top of my head. There's a few people. I think Terrace Marshall has the opportunity to make a big impact if the passing game comes in how we expect it to. He was a former 5-star recruit, so obviously he's got the talent. And then if he can find his spot alongside Justin Jefferson in the receiving core, I think he can make some big down-the-field plays. But other than that, I mean, anybody on both sides of the ball could make a move. It's hard to say at this point.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think they're going to start fall camp in about, another week or two. So hopefully we'll be getting some reports and some news out of that to see who's ready to roll come August 31st. So yeah, it was a good week for LSU. Not without its controversy, of course, but a good week recruiting-wise and further recruiting-wise with this new nutritionist center and football ops building. Guys, any last thoughts going into next week, right before fall camp? Anything to keep your eyes on?
Thought. So I cannot confirm, but I am about 95% sure that Grant Delpit lives in my apartment complex. I saw a guy who looked very, 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 very similar to him. I will continue to investigate and maybe get a quote from Grant for the pod. But if that was you, Grant, and you're a listener, I saw you heading to the hot tub, and I hope you had a good trip to the amenities of my apartment complex.
Very nice. Daniel, any last words?
Not too much. Hopefully I can see some celebrities in the wild like that. But any LSU players, welcome to come on the podcast, chat with us, give us a season preview. We're down for it.
I think we can go ahead and call Grant Delpit friend of the pod, Grant Delpit. So
yeah, why not? I mean, people claim much more ludicrous things, so we'll just go ahead and claim him as our fill-in podcaster also. So I don't know. Maybe
he might be a preseason All-American starter safety, but he's still a backup for our podcast. So keep working at it, Grant.
Yeah. He'll get in there. He's just got to wait for his turn.
He's got a red shirt.
Yeah. I mean, one of us could not be here 1 week, but he's got to be ready to step in. He's got to be ready to step in and perform. But that'll be it for our performance this week. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow each of us at Scott Gerard1 and at Tommy Johnson, LA, and at DF Zollinger. You could also consider making a donation from the Support Us tab at LARedZoneReport.com. The more you support us, the more content we can bring you. That'll be it for us, folks. Check us out next time on the LSU Sports Podcast.